Empress by Jesse Sloan. They waited for the thunderstorm to pass under the eaves of an old mausoleum. The thing was built to look like some sort of Greek temple or maybe a miniature government building. It had a dome on the roof. There was even a little porch with smaller versions of the columns at the Parthenon. Frank and Lisa got under the porch roof to shelter from the sudden rain. The rain came in from the Gulf and it lasted for hours, drenching the New Orleans cemetery. Occasionally, lightning flashed and thunder cracked and rumbled loudly. The sun went down while they sat there. They watched the rain. They watched the full moon as it traveled upward from the horizon, casting a pale glow into the dark and heavy clouds. There wasn't any hurry to go anywhere. Frank even slept for a short time. When you're dead broke with no place to call home, a dry porch on an old grave is like the Ritz Hotel, Frank had said. The rain lessened but was still coming down in a miserable drizzle when Frank awakened from his nap. He paced back and forth a few times on the little porch. Each time he had to step over Lisa's legs. She got up too, expecting that Frank would be ready to move on, rain or not. He stopped pacing and pointed above the door. "Lisa, look at this." What is it?" "There's words carved above the door. I remember reading this in college." Lisa stood next to him and read the words out loud. "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." "That was in some old-time play or poem or something," he said. "I can't remember." "It's from Dante's Inferno. It was on the gates of hell." Frank tried the door. It wasn't locked. It swung stiffly on heavy bolt hinges and creaked from rust and long years of neglect. It had sagged in its frame and now it scrapped against the floor. Frank put his shoulder against the door and shoved hard. Using his legs, the door moved another 2 inches and stopped. "Frank, let's go," Lisa said. "Now rich people." "So what?" Frank stopped trying to push the door. He stood there looking at her for long moments. "Rich people might want some of their precious stuff, jewelry and whatnot, buried with them in their fancy little death mansion. I knew you were stupid when we got married. I married you anyway. That makes me stupid too, I guess." "I'm not stupid. You're the one who got us in this mess." The old argument between them was never settled. Frank took one too many risks in his business. He played too much poker and lost too much money. He made some mistakes and had some bad breaks, and he felt like she would never let him forget that. "Don't start in on me now. Lisa, give me a hand." Frank leaned on the door again. She saw the look in Frank's eyes and she knew he would never stop. She might as well help him. She added her effort to his and the door moved another few inches. Frank rubbed his shaggy beard thoughtfully. "I bet you could squeeze through, as skinny as you are." "Nope, I don't want to go in there by myself. Who puts a warning like that on their own tomb? It's weird, it creeps me out." "It's fine, I'll be right here. Go in and pull from that side and I will push from this side. If we can get it to open a just bit more, I can get in there with you." Lisa knew that when Frank got like this there was no talking him out of it. He would argue with her relentlessly and, eventually, she would give in. She decided to avoid all that and just do what he asked. Frank's plan worked. The door opened just enough. He had to suck in his gut and wriggle around some, but he managed to force his way in. Once inside, they both turned to face into the space and were startled to see 2 people standing at the far end of the space, opposite of their position by the door. Frank let out a little yelp of fear and stretched his arm out protectively in front of Lisa. She screamed in fright, then they both realized that they were looking into a mirror. Frank walked over and looked at the mirror closely. It had a yellowish cast to it. "This isn't glass, it's some sort of polished metal. I think it's a sheet of bronze. I remember reading that they used to make mirrors that way in Egypt. Or maybe somewhere else. In ancient times." "Yeah, I guess your useless history degree is finally paying off. Look at all the junk carved into the frame around the mirror." She ignored his remark about her degree. "They're symbols of some kind. They look like ruins of some sort." "Look at these," Frank said. He was touching a small black disc which was mounted in a recessed hole in the stone frame around the mirror. "It's like a black mirror." Lisa touched another one on the opposite side of the frame. "I think these are obsidian mirrors. They're used in witchcraft. What was it I read about that?" Lisa stared off into space for a moment trying to remember distant knowledge. "These are used as scrying mirrors and in black magic rituals. This is really weird, Frank. Let's get out of here." "What are the symbols below the mirrors?" Frank asked. Step back from the frame and look. There are 6 mirrors on each side the frame. The symbols are zodiac signs. Zodiac. Yeah, you know, Aries, Capricorn, Sagittarius, and so on. And you call me stupid? Come on, Frank, let's get out of here. I'm really getting creeped out. Why? Look at this place. Every inch of every wall is carved with ruins. Even the crypts have ruins on them. And these black mirrors are bizarre. So? Frank asked. Did you notice the words carved above the mirror? Frank stepped back and looked up. He read the words out loud. Oh, Luna, empress of the night sky, the stars pale in the power of your brightness. Now look down at the floor. That mirror is framed and there is a threshold stone. It's like a doorway. Frank looked down at the sill and read. Nothing is hidden from the gaze of the sky empress when she enters her high gate. If it's a door, it's a strange door. If you try to walk through it, you get a nosebleed from smashing into that yellow mirror. Whoever these people were, they believed in witchcraft or black magic or something like that. Come on, Frank, let's get out of this place. I don't like it. They believed in bullshit. There's nothing here but us and 2 people who died a long time ago. There were 2 stone crypts with heavy-looking lids, one on each side of the mausoleum. The space was cramped. Frank and Lisa could stand shoulder to shoulder between the 2 crypts with only a few inches to spare. Frank ignored Lisa's remarks and her desire to leave. He put his hand on one of the 2 crypts. If we try hard and work together, we can probably work those lids off the crypts and have a look at what's inside, Frank said. Why on earth would we want to do that? I'm serious, Frank. Let's get out of here. Now. I bet these rich people were laid to rest in here with their gold necklaces and rings. Look at the dates. They both died in the late 1800s. Rich and probably loony too with all this occult crap. Who knows what they might have wanted in their tombs with them? Frank pushed on the side of the crypt's heavy lid, thinking it would slide sideways and give him access to the contents. It didn't budge. He tried grasping the edge of it and pushing it up, but it was too heavy. I need a pry bar, Frank said. I don't have one of those. Let's go now, please. Yeah, I guess we should. We can come back with something to pry these open. When they went to the door, they found that it was closed. Frank looked at Lisa and asked, Did you push the door shut? Of course not. Why would I have done that? Besides, I've been right next to you the whole time. Frank grabbed the handle and hauled back on the door. It didn't move. He put one foot on the wall and, using both hands on the handle, he leaned back, putting all of his weight into it. Lisa tried to add her weight to the effort. The door never moved. Oh God, Frank, now what are we gonna do? Calm down, rest a minute. We'll get it open, it's just stuck. After a few minutes, they tried again, but the door was firmly closed and it refused to budge. Frank was sweating from the effort when they stopped again. We have to get out of here. I can't stay in here. I can't. Lisa was crying. Frank leaned back against one of the crypts. Lisa buried her face in his chest. Her body was trembling. He held her and stroked her hair. It's all right. We'll get it open. Why did you have to come in here? Why? The rain was almost gone. We could have left. I know, it's all right. I love you, Lisa. I'll get the door open. I promise I will. I love you too, Lisa said quietly. She nuzzled her face into his neck and her breathing evened out and her tears stopped. Frank looked up into the curved dome of the ceiling as he held her. He noticed that there was a skylight in the center of the dome. The rain was gone and the sky looked clear. The moon was centered in the round skylight, looking in at them. Why would anyone install a skylight into a grave? He looked around and saw nothing but deep shadows and softly glowing surfaces, illuminated by the light of the moon. The ruins and strange symbols carved into every available surface were cast in stark relief in the grayness of the stone. Frank didn't know what made him say it, but as he looked up at the moon, he said, "Oh, Luna." Lisa looked and saw where Frank was looking. She looked there too and said, "Empress of the night sky." Then they noticed the utter silence of the mausoleum. Fear gripped them as they clung to each other and stared at the moon framed in the skylight above. Lisa said, "She enters her high gate." The silence was broken by a small sound like the snick of twig breaking or the sound of a mirror cracking. They both looked toward the mirror. They saw themselves reflected in the yellow surface of the bronze mirror. There was long a crack in its surface that went from the top all the way to floor. Two figures, a man and a woman, dressed in Victorian clothing, stepped into the view behind their reflections. Now the fear crystallized into terror. Startled, they both turned and looked to where the man and the woman should have been behind them. There was nobody there. The mausoleum was empty except for them. They looked back at the mirror. The man and the woman were still there behind their reflections. They stepped forward. Instinctively, Frank and Lisa cringed away from them and stepped closer to the mirror. The couple each raised their arms and pointed. They both said in unison, "Behold!" Frank and Lisa now saw that the mausoleum was gone from the reflection. They were both there and the man and woman were there, but the mausoleum was replaced by a gigantic throne room. Upon the throne was a huge female figure in pale gray robes that glowed with white light. She wore a crown of bleached bones and her eyes were large and dark. The couple took another step towards Frank and Lisa. They moved away from the couple and were now just inches from the surface of bronze mirror. The man and the woman reached forward and put their cold hands on Frank's and Lisa's backs and said, "Behold!" Nothing is hidden from the gaze of the Sky Empress. Lisa and Frank looked into the black eyes of the Sky Empress. In those eyes they saw stars and nebulae and galaxies spinning, wheeling into the infinite expanse of the universe. They saw storm clouds and lashing rain. They saw huge waves on the high, open seas swallowing men in their puny ships. They saw good people and evil people, in equal measure, rise to power and fall again. They saw civilizations spring into existence only to crumble into dust. They saw warfare fought by men in the blackest of nights. They saw blood, flowing in black rivulets, on 1,000 battlegrounds and in the light of 1,000 moonlit nights. They saw the sun eclipsed by her over and over and again. They saw her bearing witness to everything since the earliest moment of eternity past. They saw her peering into the future. They saw her knowing everything, and they knew that she was more than merely Luna, empress of the night sky. They did not understand how they knew. They just knew that she much more. The strange couple said again, "Behold!" Frank and Lisa saw that their reflections were nude. They saw the pitiless effect of time and poverty on their ugly bodies. They saw ribs visible through thin shrouds of pale skin. Lisa saw her breasts flat and sagging with nipples pointing at the ground. Frank saw the dark bags under his eyes and the smallness of his shrunken manhood. They saw the mottled spots of age blooming on their faces and the wrinkles of decades appearing in their skin as it sagged under the force of gravity in mere moments. They saw their flesh drying and shrinking and then falling off in wispy, almost insubstantial shreds. They saw the welcoming, small, almost kindly smile on the visage of the Empress. The couple behind them still had their hands into their backs. They shoved hard. Frank and Lisa felt themselves propelled forward. They felt the surface of the bronze mirror cold and hard for the briefest moment, and then they felt no mirror at all. They stumbled into the throne room and fell down to the floor. When they stood, they could no longer see their reflections. They looked up at the Empress on her throne and saw the stars in her eyes, and they also saw understanding and perhaps love too. The Empress pointed behind Frank and Lisa. They turned and saw the strange couple through the surface of the now silver mirror. The couple turned and walked to the door of the mausoleum. The door swung open easily for them and they walked through it and were gone. Boudreaux Bud Lublink finished pouring gasoline into the push mower and put the gas can down. He stood up and raised the bottom of his t-shirt to his face, using it wipe the sweat from his brow. When he dropped the shirt, he looked across the old cemetery and noticed that the doors of the largest mausoleum were standing open. Damn kids, no respect for the dead. Why can't they find some other place to hang out? Bud said to himself as he walked over to look inside. The walls of the mausoleum were smooth, white marble except for the blue spray-painted graffiti that said Pink Floyd rules. The place was a mess and it smelled moldy. Leaves had drifted in and there were crumpled beer cans and broken wine bottles. "Son of a bitch," Bud said when he saw that the two crypts were desecrated. The lids had been shoved back. One of them was cracked in half. Part of it was on the floor. He looked into the crypts. They were both empty. He heard a rustling in the leaves. He felt something brush against his pant legs and saw the swift motions of a dark shape scurrying toward the sunlit door. "Rats!" he said. "I hate rats." Brooksville by Maria Babar. The The town of Brooksville was a serene haven nestled amidst rolling hills and lush green meadows. Its residents, numbering just a few hundred, led peaceful lives, their routines following a predictable rhythm. Yet, as fate would have it, a stranger was about to arrive and shake up the order of things. One sunny morning, the townsfolk noticed a figure in the distance, approaching with purpose. As the stranger drew nearer, they saw a young woman with a wild mane of golden curls cascading down her back. Her eyes shimmered with an indomitable spark, hinting at a spirit untamed by convention. She introduced herself as Luna, an explorer of the world, and she had come to Brooksville seeking a new adventure. News of Luna's arrival spread like wildfire, igniting curiosity and whispers of speculation. The townsfolk gathered in the town square, eager to catch a glimpse of the enigmatic stranger who had stirred their tranquil existence. Luna's energy was contagious, and as she traversed the streets, a sense of anticipation crackled in the air. Luna wasted no time immersing herself in the fabric of Brooksville. She sought out the local baker, Mrs. Miller, whose confections had become lackluster due to her adherence to tradition. Luna suggested daring combinations of flavors and encouraged Mrs. Miller to experiment. The townsfolk, initially skeptical, found themselves enamored with the bold and delicious creations that emerged from the bakery. Next, Luna turned her attention to the aging bookstore owned by Mr. Thompson. The store had fallen into disarray. With dwindling patrons and dusty shelves, Luna saw potential in the forgotten stories and tattered pages. She organized book clubs, literary events, and even transformed a corner of the store into a cozy cave where people could gather to discuss their newfound literary passions. As Luna's influence grew, so did the resistance from those who feared change. The town council, a group of stern traditionalists, viewed her as a disruptive force, challenging the established order. They whispered warnings of chaos and upheaval, urging the townsfolk to reject Luna's ideas. But many had already glimpsed the magic she had woven into their lives and were unwilling to let it go. One evening, tensions reached a boiling point. The council called for a town meeting, aiming to rid Brooksville of the stranger who threatened their tranquil existence. The meeting was held in the grand town hall, packed with both supporters and skeptics. The air crackled with anticipation as the council members and Luna stood before the crowd, ready to present their cases. As the arguments flew back and forth, a hush fell over the room. It was an elderly man, Mr. Jenkins, a revered figure in the town, who spoke. His words were measured and wise, carrying the weight of experience. He acknowledged the council's concerns about tradition but also recognized the beauty and vitality that Luna had brought to Brooksville. Mr. Jenkins proposed a compromise, a way for tradition and innovation to coexist harmoniously. The townsfolk listened intently as he spoke of preserving the cherished customs while embracing new ideas and perspectives. The council members, their hearts touched by his words, agreed to give Luna a chance. From that day forward, Brooksville blossomed into a vibrant tapestry of tradition and novelty. Luna's presence infused the town with a renewed zest for life. She organized art exhibitions, encouraged the townsfolk to explore their creative passions, and even initiated projects to revitalize neglected areas of the town. Years passed, and Brooksville thrived under the gentle sway of change. The once skeptical townsfolk celebrated Luna's arrival as a turning point in their lives. Their days were filled with laughter, exploration, and a shared appreciation for the beauty of tradition intertwined with innovation. When Luna eventually bid farewell to Brooksville, the townsfolk gathered to honor her. They unveiled a mural, a testament to her transformative influence on their lives. As they stood before the vibrant masterpiece, they whispered words of gratitude, knowing that they would forever cherish the stranger who had arrived and shaken up the order of things, illuminating their lives with the magic of possibility. After Luna's departure, the spirit of change she had instilled in the townsfolk continued to thrive in Brooksville. The townspeople, inspired by their experiences with Luna, carried her teachings forward, embracing new ideas and nurturing their creative passions. The bakery, once revitalized by Luna's suggestions, became a hub of culinary innovation. Mrs. Miller, now brimming with confidence, experimented with unique flavors, drawing customers from neighboring towns who marveled at her delectable creations. The bakery became renowned far and wide, putting Brooksville on the map as a culinary destination. The bookstore, having undergone a renaissance under Luna's guidance, flourished as well. The cozy cave corner became a beloved gathering place where book lovers gathered to discuss literature, exchange ideas, and form lasting friendships. People from all walks of life found solace and inspiration within the pages of books, and the bookstore became a cherished symbol of community and intellectual growth. Brooksville itself underwent a remarkable transformation. Inspired by Luna's initiatives, the townsfolk took it upon themselves to revitalize neglected areas. They established community gardens, breathing life into once barren plots of land, and created a public art program that adorned the town with sculptures, murals, and installations. Brooksville became a haven for artists and creatives, drawing visitors from far and wide who sought the vibrant atmosphere and the sense of possibility that infused the town. The town council, initially resistant to Luna's influence, gradually came to appreciate the positive changes that had taken place. They recognized the resilience of their community, capable of honoring traditions while embracing progress. The council members began working in harmony with the townsfolk, collaborating on initiatives that balanced the preservation of heritage with the pursuit of innovation. Over time, Brooksville became a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and the power of a single individual to ignite change. Luna's legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of the townspeople, reminding them that embracing the unfamiliar could lead to extraordinary transformations. Years later, when people spoke of the stranger who had come to town, they did so with reverence. Luna's name became a source of inspiration, passed down through generations as a reminder to challenge the status quo, pursue passions, and foster a spirit of open-mindedness. The story of Luna and Brooksville became folklore, a testament to the transformative power of one person's presence in a community and the lasting impact they can leave behind. And so, the town of Brooksville continued to evolve, its residents forever grateful to the stranger who had arrived and shaken up the order of things, igniting a flame that would burn brightly in their hearts for years to come. Willow Rose by Colleen Ireland. Willow looked more ghost than witch. Her wispy silver blonde hair and pale features blended almost seamlessly into the pearl-white walls of the East Hollywood salon where she worked as a shampoo girl. Invisible until needed, no one noticed Willow when she emptied a dustpan of swept-up hair and nail clippings into the front pocket of her black smock. She would have been chased out with a broom. Willow smiled at the irony of the image, enjoying her inside joke. Willow didn't belong in a salon. And she certainly didn't belong in LA. She belonged at home in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where the air always smells scrubbed clean, the late summer pawpaws are ripe for picking, and wildflowers can be woven into a perfect crown. Her sister sent her to California right after that boy went missing, the boy who had lured Willow to the shade of the sugar maple tree. Lizard tongue darts everywhere all at once. His mouth wide and greedy, grip bruised tight as Willow struggled hard to get free. Her twists and whimpers added to his amusement. "You'd only be pretty if your eyes were blue. Now one wants you." He was laughing when the river suddenly swelled, rising high enough to snatch him from the bank. His terrified eyes and silent, gaping scream were the last Willow saw of him before he was swallowed whole, and with a satisfied gurgle, the river returned to normal. A week after he was gone, Willow was gone too, the boy in the river, Willow in LA. All she had with her was a canning jar of cash, clean underwear, and a note in her sister's scrawled handwriting tucked inside the pages of a worn book. "Promise me, Willow, promise me you'll be good." Willow whispered her promise and hugged the book tight, fighting back the tears. It wasn't her fault the river had taken him. Applying for the first job that seemed like something she could do, Willow interviewed at the salon. They were busy and asked her to start right away. The same day Willow was offered her first job in a new city, a black bunny appeared on her doorstep, pink nose twitching. Willow was happy for the familiar company, especially a bunny. Annalisa was Willow's favorite customer, who came into the East Hollywood salon every week to see Stefan for a blow-dry and Luna for a manicure. Willow would take as long as possible with Annalisa's shampoo, Tsudzi, circular motions unlocking all of Annalisa's musings. Willow saw all of Annalisa's life, the grocery list left on the counter, her daughter's ballet recital, the dreaded return call to her mother-in-law and former boss who keeps asking when she'll return to work. Annalisa's thoughts were the quiet side of the echoey for Willow's thoughts to float on. Annalisa's scent reminded Willow of her mama, tangled hair, white floral, and delicate breezes. With a deep inhale, Willow could see her mama's face and hear the hypnotic songs she sang when Willow was a little girl. Comforting sadness would wash over Willow, lapping waves on a summer day. Stefan's hard tap on Willow's shoulder. Hello, space girl, back to planet Earth. I'm on a schedule. Always came too soon. Willow knew Annalisa liked her. She would always tip Willow with cash and a compliment. You have magic fingers, sei molto simpatica. Walking the 3-mile stretch from East Hollywood to Echo Park, humming a made-up tune, Willow would rub Annalisa's $20 bill tip between her finger and thumb, spending it at her only stop, a corner grocer. Willow would buy cream for her tea, green tomatoes to coat in breadcrumbs to fry for supper, and cilantro for the bunny she named Raisin. Stroking Raisin's velvety fur, Willow would sip tea, the metal infuser stuffed with Annalisa's hair clippings, nail slivers, cattail root, sumac, and nasturtium. Once finished, Willow would close her eyes, recite ancient words from memory, then settle in to watch Annalisa's life in full color. Only the bunny knew Willow's secrets. Willow knew she wasn't supposed to use the tea more than a few times on the same person. The tea's potency grew stronger with each new cup, not for Willow but for the people she watched. If she wasn't careful, Annalisa would catch her in the act. As months turned into a year, Willow grew bored watching the other clients and only tuned into her Annalisa. The other clients, fleetingly fascinating, were all the same trope: love triangles, weight gain and loss complaints, frivolous spending, bratty kids. It was only Annalisa, with her jet black hair, smooth olive skin, and white teeth, who she wanted to watch repeatedly. Willow knew Annalisa was starting to feel her presence. Annalisa would suddenly stand up from kneeling in the garden, hand shovel gripped tight, green eyes large under a wide brim hat, scanning the rows of poppies and penstemons. Or Annalisa would check all the security cameras in her gourmet kitchen, sauce bubbling on the stove, a sudden shudder of shoulders, arms folded around her body. But it was in Annalisa's daughter's bedroom that she saw Willow outside of the salon for the first time. A pale, hollow-eyed marionette doll without strings, suspended mid-air in the darkest corner, face contorted into raw terror. Annalisa screamed. Willow vanished. No, no, no! Raisin scurried to a corner as the porcelain teacup shattered on the ground, panicked. Heart racing, Willow scrambled across the room to the suitcase under the bed where she hid the grimoire. On her knees, flipping through the tattered pages, Willow found what she dreaded most, then curled into a ball on the floor. There was no way to reverse the curse. Abusing the power of the tea had finally caught up with her. The next morning, Raisin was gone. Willow trudged to work, legs heavy, head hung low. You're late! Stefan snapped, then turned to Luna asking, Do you think Annalisa's okay? She's never no-showed. Should I be worried? Willow cleared her throat and spoke directly to Stefan for the first time. She's never coming back. And then walked out. Willow kept walking for 2,300 miles, a ghost with red eyes and skin that glowed pale day and night. By the time she reached the river, the soles of her shoes were worn thin, her tongue thick in her mouth, skin dry and cracked. The rushing water was cold, ice cold, up to her waist, chest, and neck. A light breeze rustled through the sugar maple trees, softly blowing Raisin's velvety black fur, her sad eyes watching Willow from the grass. Willow from the grass.